Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." Yeah, so Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has basically manifested his light onto his chosen, onto his elect, onto the men and women that he have chosen from the world. Right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai have given his those who he deemed fit to receive this word. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." Yeah, this truth, this knowledge, right? Which Yahweh Shai, he's the light, he's the truth and the life, and the resurrection and the way. Right? He's the word. Right? And this is the word. Verse 2, it says, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people." Yeah, that ignorance, that deceit, those philosophies, right? Those false doctrines, those heresies that come from the world, man. In fact, these things consume the world. It says, "In gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee," yeah, the elect, those that remnant, if you will, that came back to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It says, "But Yahweh shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." Yeah, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Yeah, that's really going to come. Right, that glory is really going to be manifested, or is really going to, appear, if you will, that the elect are the sons of the living power in the world to come. Right? In fact, not even in the world to come, in this world. Ye shall know what is the truth. Right? Because ultimately, the truth shall speak in these last days, man. The truth shall overcome. The truth shall conquer, if you will, at the end of the day. Which there's a quote in the world, which I don't deal with the philosophies, with those different beliefs and religions of the world, which is wicked and vain. But there's one quote that I heard, and that I remember. Whereas, there's three things that cannot be long hidden: the sun and the moon and the truth. Those are the three things that cannot be long hidden. And yeah, this truth was hidden for a while. Right, but the elect, they have received this truth, these mysteries, this knowledge. And it's going to be for their glory. Why? Because they're the only ones that receive this truth, this knowledge. But from there, let's go to the book of... Yeah, let's go to the book of Hosea real quick. Alright, Salaki. Trying to find this one precept. Alright, Khan. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge." Yeah, because ultimately you got Jake subscribing or attending, sororities, fraternities, joining different so-called, societies that are embedded in witchcraft and, you know, Greek philosophy and stuff like that. You know, so Jake is ever learning but never able to come to the knowledge of truth. Right? Jake don't know this truth. Jake don't know the true understanding. Jake don't have understanding. Right? Because if he had understanding, he will see these scriptures. Man, he don't know them. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. Right? And one of the ways, or one of the reasons why Jake, the so-called black, Latino, and Native Indians don't see this truth, they don't see this knowledge, is because they what? They join hand in hand with the devil of the earth. Right? The border of wickedness, which is the so-called white man. You know, which ultimately Esau have been given, which is prophesied that the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. Now, who's the wicked? You know, when you interpret it, it's concerning Esau. It represents Esau. Now, this earth, this whole world, has been given into his hands. It's under his management, if you will. Right? The scripture says, I've seen the wicked, you know, loosely paraphrasing. Basically, you know, in the scriptures, it will liken the wicked to a tree that spread himself. Yeah, and that symbolizes his power and authority, compassing the whole earth. You know? Which with his philosophies, which with Esau's philosophies, Esau, which is the so-called white man, with Esau's philosophies and his doctrines, his false doctrines, his heresies, his dogmas, you know, his vain opinions, and his own imaginations, have what influenced the world, like living. Now, when you go into the scriptures, it sometimes speak about living. Now, when you go into living and flour and all that, a little yeast, which is living, put in a bowl, a whole bowl of flour, it's going to corrupt that whole bowl, man. So Esau, and with his mind, his vain and wicked mind, he corrupted the whole earth. Right? He make the whole earth famished. Right? He deceiveth the whole earth. He corrupts the whole earth. You know, so let's go to the book of... Yeah, let's go to the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit. Now, when you go into the bottomless pit, it represents Europe. It says, and a great chain in his hand, and he held. Now, when you go into a chain, it's used to what? Bound, or to bind something. To bound or bind something, or imprison somebody. Now, this chapter is a great mystery, and a lot of people can't interpret it. Now, but I'm gonna try to interpret it, Lord willing. Hopefully, I interpret it, you know, rightfully, or right, you know, skillfully. Verse 2. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon. Now, the dragon, which is the so-called white man. Now, this particular time is concerning the Roman Empire. It says, and laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which Esau, he come in a same vibration of that serpent in the garden, a subtle and a deceiver. The serpent beguiled or deceived Eve, and made her or somewhat corrupted or influenced her to do wrong. And that's the same vibration that Esau come into. He comes after the workings, if you will. He comes in that same energy of that serpent. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now, you go into it, this is concerning the Western Roman Empire falling. Right? I ain't gonna, really go into I ain't gonna go in depth into the start time of when this of when he got bound. Now when it says and bound him 1,000 years, meaning what? He was put out of authority. He was put out of power on the earth. And in between the 1,000 years was the so-called Dark Ages. Which when you go into the Dark Ages, you had so-called dark-skinned men and females ruling Europe at that time. That's why when you go into Google and look into ancient photos or art and icons concerning the Dark Ages, you'll sometimes see dark people, black people. And around that time was when Esau, he was put down. He was slave. He was not in that authority as he was when he was a Roman, when the Roman Empire was up, or the Greco-Roman Empire. So he was put out of that authority. He was bound, for 1,000 years. Now, at the end of that 1,000 years was the Renaissance. Now, when you go into the word Renaissance, it means the rebirth. And why did the so-called white man call the Renaissance rebirth? Meaning what? This was the time where he's being brought back, if you will, into that power, into that authority seat. Now, when you go into the Renaissance, is when they went into, or they got in, into philosophy. A whole lot of stuff. In fact, I could go into quick history concerning it. Lord willing, bear with me real quick. Now, let's go into some history concerning the Renaissance. Right, going to the Wikipedia. Right, it says the Renaissance is a period in European history making the transition from the Middle Ages to modernity and covering the 15th and 16th century. So that's when that dragon was loosed from that 1,000 years. That was the end of that 1,000 years. It says characterized by an effort to revive and surpass ideas and achievements of classical antiquity. So basically, that's why Esau he's fascinated with the idea of what is it called? He's fascinated with the idea called Salaki, bear with me. Oh yeah, he's fascinated with the idea concerning the phoenix, right? The phoenix, which is a mythology. It goes into mythology where the phoenix, when he dies, he rises from the ashes, or he burns up, he gets destroyed, and he rises from the ashes. So that's he's somewhat liking himself or his people onto the phoenix. So this man was put out of authority, when the Western Roman Empire fell, and he was brought back by the Renaissance. Now going back into the Renaissance, it says it occurred. Matter of fact, let's jump down to verse Alright, it says, it refers to, alright, Renaissance. It says, Renaissance is a French word meaning rebirth. It refers to a period in European civilization that was marked by a revival of classical learning and wisdom. So the Renaissance was when a time when Esau was brought back into that power, into that authority, where he, started, reviving that philosophies, those vain or worldly wisdom, worldly ways, worldly ideas, worldly dogmas or opinions, worldly traditions, So going back into the scriptures, finish this off. The point, it says, Revelation chapter 20, verse 2. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai put Esau out of power and authority for 1,000 years. Verse 3 says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. Yeah, because during the Greco-Roman Empire, he was what? He was that top government, if you will, on the earth. Where the nations feared the Greco-Roman empires. The nations feared this so-called great nation. And what, he was also deceiving nations at that time. Right, with the Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and their philosophies, and their ways, and their traditions. It says, till the 1,000 years shall be fulfilled. Now, like I said, at the end of the 1,000 years was what? What came up? The Renaissance. And that's, already went into it. It says, and after that, and after that, he must be loosed a little season. And yeah, this is the little season that he's loosed right now. Ever since the Renaissance, he's been deceiving the whole world, man. Right? You have the modern religion, or worldly religion called Christianity, the Catholic Church, Jehovah's Witness, the Baptist Church, all type of religions, basically revolving around a white man, revolving around a white man, which y'all call, which y'all call Jesus, man. Which the true Messiah, the true Son of God name is not Jesus. The Son of God name is Yahushai, Hamashiach, the Messiah. Right, the letter J wasn't created or wasn't around 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. Now, if you get the time, look up the letter J and see when it was created. See when it was invented. And you'll know that the Son of God name couldn't be Jesus, man. So, during, back then, if you will, you had a guy called Caesar Borgia. Caesar Borgia, which was a homosexual man, and his father was a pope. Now, when you go into Google, look up Caesar Borgia, and you'll see the similarity between Caesar Borgia and modern Jesus, man. And you'll know that Esau, he deceived the nations with this image, with this icon, with this man that died long ago. Now, when Caesar Borgia died, the father made him into an icon, or created his icon or created an icon of his son, and therefore led to people worshiping him, bowing down before him, creating images of him. No, so this man, he's loose in this little season that he's loosed in. He's deceiving the whole world with his vain imagination. And Jake, the so-called black Latino and Indian, are a worshiper or a follower of Esau. He adopted Jake, the so-called black Latino Native Indians. They adopted the ways and the philosophies and the false doctrines and the falsehoods of Esau. They adopted it. You know, which Jake Jake absorbed, you know, or Jake is conformed to this world. His mind is conformed. His mind is what adapted. Jake's mind is adapted to this beast society, to this wicked society. You know, continue on, jumping down to verse 7. It says, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth." So this man, this beast, this dragon, went out to deceive the nations. You know? Now, stop right there. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 5. Matter of fact, verse 4. Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. It says, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stone, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." Now, this woman, which was arrayed in purple, is concerning Babylon, America. This country, America, which when John the Revelator, a prophet, when he was on the island of Patmos, if I'm not mistaken, it was a prison, right? So when he was in prison on the island of Patmos, or when he was on the island of Patmos, he received visions or revelations from the Lord. Now, let me hold this and go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "The revelation of Yahushua Mashiach, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John." Now, when you go into the word revelation, it means a revealing or uncovering. A revealing or uncovering. So within this book, Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible, there's prophecies concerning which will take place in the last days. Which a prophecy, the word prophecy means to say or to speak before. To say beforehand. To speak beforehand. No, so we're telling you things which shall come to pass. Or which have already come to pass, which was spoken about years ago. You know? But going to Revelation, let me turn this down. It's probably loud, so lock you. You know, Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. It says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Now, like I said, Babylon, or that's a woman, Mystery Babylon the Great represents America. It represents America, which America is the so-called great superpower of this age, of the modern times, man. You know, which when you go into the word Babylon, when you go dig into the word, the root word is what? Babal, which means confusion. Now this land, this country is full of confusion. Right, you got the man laying with the woman and the woman laying with the man. Right, you got that which is good being seen as evil in this country, and that which is evil being seen as good. That which is highly esteemed of men is an abomination in this country. So it's full of confusion. So it says, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So basically America have basically created abominations, have basically produced abominations. Where in this country, look, gay pride parades, protests. No. You know, you right now you got the woman fighting for abortion rights. You know, this is a land of whoredom, idolatry, witchcraft, and sorcery. The female is practicing stargazing, which is astrology, zodiac signs. You got the so-called Black, Latino, Native Indians, especially the Negro, basically entertaining the philosophy of manifesting your own fate, which is a false philosophy. Controlling your fate, free will. You know, so this is America created abominations, man. Yeah, you know, whores, females wearing pants, females jumping to bed, and it's a normal thing in society, man. Which really now focusing on my people, the so-called Black, Latino, and Native Indians. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Go to the book of Isaiah chapter 1. Verse Isaiah chapter 1, verse 8, verse 4 says, a sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity. Yeah, especially in this time. Right, Jake, the so-called Black, Latino, and Native Indian, have surpassed the wickedness of the wicked. You know, it says, a sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Ye will revolt more and more. And that's what you have, man. Jake is revolting, rebellion against the Lord. Going against the Lord, man. In all types of ways, man. Going against the Lord in their minds, in their deeds, in their words. And going against the Lord is like what? Calling for calling after death, man. All you that hate Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai love death. All you that hate Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai words love death, man. It says, ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick. Now it says the whole head is sick. Now this was basically concerning back then, but this applies to Jake in all times in this world, man. Well, not in all times, but you know, especially in this time, man. Where Jake is even more wicked than before. So Jake's head is sick. Right? They have been contaminated. You know, they have been indoctrinated. You know, they have been, you know, somewhat adopted by the most vile man on the earth, the beast man, Esau, the so-called white man. That's why it was said to what? Let's go to the book of St. John. Because really, you bow the knee to the so-called white man in his ways. This book of St. John, chapter 8, verse 44. It says, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father will ye will do. So ye are of your father, the devil, man. A deceiver. It says, and the lust of your father ye will do, man. Whereas you commit adultery, bow down before trees, before wooden images. Keep wicked traditions like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know, you join these fraternities and these sororities, which is ultimately basically influenced by Greek ways, Greek traditions. You know, it says, and the lust of your father ye would do. Hey, he was a murderer from the beginning. Jake liked to murder, kill, steal, rob. That's all. That's Jake. The so-called Black, Latino, Native Indian mind is on murder. You know, folly, man. Why? Because their heart, really, their treasure is this world. Their treasure is wickedness. That's their delights. Their delight is wickedness. It's carnality. And the scripture says, for wherever your heart is, for wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So the treasure or the delight of Jake is wickedness. It's carnality, man. It's folly. It's lawlessness. And their mind is on that. It says, and the lust of your fathers ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. You know? What you have Jake being in now, the so-called New Age movement, right? You know, so-called New Age movement, believing in that religion. You know, all type of folly, man. Right? But let's go ahead. No. Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 16 says, therefore pray not thou for this people, neither lift up a cry nor prayer for them. Yeah, so don't, the brothers in this truth, don't pray or cry for this people, for the wicked people, man. For the wicked black, Latino, Native Indians that don't want to hearken onto this truth. Don't pray for them. Right, because they're not going to get it. It says, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear them. For I not hear them. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? So observe what they do in the streets. Observe what they do in these communities, in so-called black culture. Observe what they do. And Hispanic culture, observe what they do. Observe the gun violence. Observe adultery, the idolatry that's in the midst of them, man. Right, that's why we're called to be holy, to be separate from them. Right, we are to sever, to cut all ties from Esau and from the wickedness of this earth. And this is the difference, if you will. Which, let's go to the book of let's go to the book of Ezekiel real quick. Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 1. It says, he cried also in mine ears, said with a loud voice, like it says, with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. Verse 2, it says, and behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, and a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. It says, and the glory of the Most High God of let's read it. Verse 3 says, and the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was, to the threshold, it says to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. Verse 4 says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So basically, angel is commanded to set a mark, which this mark is a symbol of exemption, a symbol or a mark of exemption, right? To be exempted from what? From death, from destruction, from wrath. So the elect, they're going to be exempted, if you will. They're going to be marked, if you will, for safety, for protection, in the days of judgment, in the hour of judgment, in the days of death, in the days of adversity, and World War III. They're going to be, they're going to have that mark of protection. You know, it says, set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So the righteous man that's going to be protected in the last days, during the great tribulations, during trouble, during these perilous days that we're coming in, are the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Why? Because we oppose, if you will, the abominations. We speaks against it. That's why what? We harden our foreheads against their foreheads. We harden our foreheads against the foreheads of the world. You know what? We exalt this truth, man. And we basically reprove and rebuke. Because, hey, this is great wickedness being done, man. A righteous man do not like the sight of wickedness. They tell you that, you know, just Lot, he was vexed by the conversation of the wicked. Well, he was angry at the conversations of the lifestyle of the wicked, man, of the wicked men in this land. So that mark represents exemption from judgment, basically. Right? It says, verse 5, it says, and to the others he said, in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. And let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. So there's going to be a lot of death, man, in these last days. People are going to be dying by famine, by the sword, by natural causes, by different things, by World War III. It's gonna be great death, man, in these last days. For the world, it says, and what? They're not gonna be given mercy. They're not gonna be exempted from that judgment. But the elect will. Verse 6, it says, slay utterly old and young, both maids, and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. So basically, these destroying angels, which those men was destroying angels, right? These destroying angels was commanded to not come near to those that got that mark of protection. They got that protection hedge about them, you know, which were righteous men. It says, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men, which were before the house. But yeah, I'm going to close off on that. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone. Peace and blessings unto the elect. Shalom, shalom to the fellow laborers in this truth. And all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, shalom.